Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I am Dr. Andrew Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Werman, Esquire, coming to you from Anaheim, California today. On today's show, we'll get to the Royals' 7-game winning streak. Shocking. I can't even believe this is happening, really. Uh,
I guess their second 7-game winning streak of the season so far, if I remember correctly.
I don't think they did that for a couple of years. They have one,
Usually they
like
have multiple
two.
7-game losing streaks is the normal.
Exactly. We'll also talk more about the NBA and NHL playoffs, now in the conference finals. But we'll start today's show with a little bit of news from the NFL. The league has recently announced that in the preseason they're going to test some like visual spotting aid for the ball, like a Hawkeye-like system's going to be installed in all of the NFL stadiums. Are you excited about the possibility of having the referees having some assistance with spotting the ball or making decisions on first downs with an electronic version rather than like the index card or the eyeing over the ball to see if there's a first down? Is this interesting to you, or do you think it's just another thing the league is trying out to try to get more technology in the game?
I think it's interesting because I think spotting the ball is a very unscientific and maybe not terribly methodical thing for a lot of the referees because it's a little different from like tennis and soccer, which use a Hawkeye, because it involves not only where the ball ends up, but it's also where the runner's knee is down, where the ball is when the runner's knee is down. So like it might be harder to track because it has more variables that you have to follow rather than it's like, did the ball land out of bounds or did it go across the goal line at some point?
Yeah.
Because the ball needs because the ball can often go ahead of the first down, but if the runner's knees down before the ball goes ahead, it's not going to be a first down. But I think in general, I think it will actually lead to more first downs because I would guess that more spots are behind where the ball actually should be than general. I'd say there are more um, stingy spots than there are generous spots, at least from my um, unscientific opinion. But it seems like at least if the ball is beyond the line of scrimmage, like, I would say actually if there's a quarterback sack or something, that's usually spotted more generously for the quarterback than it is for the defense. But in if it's ahead of the line of scrimmage or if it's a running play or a passing play, I think usually um, the ball is often it's spotted short of where you think it is. I think you hear that a lot. Like, oh, the ball. He looks like he got a first time with the balls, but there aren't maybe quite as many as. But maybe it's just my um, bias. But I think that will
Well,
help.
no, I think you're totally right. I mean, a lot of it's just about where the official is that's making the decision as to where the spot
Mm.
is. And they're usually running down the sideline because they were lined up on the line of scrimmage, and then they're trying to like run downfield to figure out where the ball's supposed to be. So they're always going to sort of short it a bit just
I
because of their
think you
positioning.
don't want to give away a first down when there's not one. I think is maybe what they're thinking, so they're a little bit more conservative in their spot. Uh, but and also I think, well, the people on the field don't have the benefit of the first down line that people in the viewing TV viewing audience have, which isn't exact, but it's more exact than they kind of give it credit for because it's
Yeah.
because they mark it right where the marker is, and they just go across from where that marker is, and that
To
if
to
it's
the marker that's on the other side,
on the other
right?
side, yeah, and those sometimes might not even line up perfectly, so it's hard to there might it's hard to say. And then I think then they still use those chains to measure things, and it seems like those are also somewhat inexact because it depends on where the original spot was, and is that correct? It's based on a lot of kind of um,
Hazy at least.
inexact inexact things. But I do like the theater of bringing out the chains, though. I think I hope that doesn't go away. but I hope that maybe the ball will be able to be spotted in a more accurate place with computer assistance, and especially if there's have to be some sort of chip in the ball. Like maybe if it's also hard to tell, like if somebody's in a pile, where is the? I think it would help in the goal line situations. Um,
So there hasn't been a lot of information out from the league yet, but they have stated, I don't know why they even made this comment, but the league apparently has said that there are chips in the ball, but they will not be used for this purpose. So I don't know what the point of that is.
maybe they monitor air uh,
The chips
levels.
are already there, so I don't know why they wouldn't also use them to do this too. I don't.
It seems like they want to do everything in a very stepwise kind of way rather than wholesale change, I guess.
Well, I think this like rollout to the league for this purpose too is they're going to test in the preseason. If there aren't problems with it, then they will immediately put it into this 2024 2025
Hmm.
season even. So they're not going to hold it back. But I guess if it doesn't look like it's ready in preseason, then give it another amount of time, whatever that is, maybe
Yeah,
another year then to improve it. But and they have not said exactly what they're going to use. If they're going to use it for spotting everything, or if they're just going to like use it for determining first downs or not first downs, like they do, with like offsides calls in soccer or
yeah,
that kind of thing. I'm not exactly sure. They had said very little, but I think we're hoping that it'll improve all of the spotting, not just determination
yeah.
of a bad spot is a first down or not a first down, which is kind of what they may do, but I don't know.
It seems like they could also just use it for offsides in football. Like sometimes you think, oh, did he get a jumper? Did the ball get snapped? Did it go early?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know if they'll do that or not. Maybe that's not seen as big a problem.
Well, the
Um,
NBA used a similar system just in this last game, I think, for in the conference round of the playoffs, where there was like a ball that was like they were looking to see if it was in the cylinder or not, and they went to a full graphic that had like the 3D spin around
oh,
and had the cylinder as like a physical thing, and then the ball, showing part of it was in the cylinder when it was touched to,
uh,
being rebounded by the offensive team, put back in. So they, waved it off as an offensive
it's one of those.
goaltend
Yeah,
because the ball was still in the cylinder when it was touched.
it's one of those things
But
the
it
NBA would
was,
have
yeah,
that European basketball wouldn't need to have because they don't really care if it's in the cylinder or not. You can tap it away, I think, at any time.
yeah.
Um, I believe that's at least that's the way it used to be for European and in Olympic basketball. I don't know if I guess I think it seems like FIBA and the NBA have kind of come closer together
Mm.
with rules over the last 10, 15 years, but I'm not quite sure. Um, one I guess another thing that the NFL has done, which we didn't talk about last time, was that they did release the full schedule for the Chiefs and the other 31 teams. The Chiefs end up playing 6 separate days of the week, which is the first time apparently since the 1927 New York Yankees, not the 1927 baseball New York Yankees. It was the 1927 football New York Yankees played 6 days out of the week. I don't know what the NFL schedule was like back then, really, but I guess
Yeah.
they could play any day of the week, probably because it was mostly like semi-pro, you know, uh, you know,
Right.
Packers and longshoremen and cops and just Ivy League suit kids and back then. But it was,
May have been
um,
up to them to decide when to play games, even like just
yeah, they
when
might have,
people were most available.
yeah, when the train schedule worked out, or yeah.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so it's been the Chiefs. It's almost 100 years since I guess the Chiefs because they're playing every day but Tuesday. They're playing a most of the games, of course, are going to be on Sunday. They have some Monday night games. They have a Thursday night opening night. They also have a Wednesday Christmas Day game, and they And they play the
which
Steelers in
follows another odd day, right?
a Saturday. They play a Saturday. Well, it's not that unusual to play Saturdays later in the season because college football is not on Saturday then.
Yeah.
So, but a Saturday to Wednesday is a little strange. Um, but they have to play on. They can't play a Sunday and Wednesday, so it's like a Thursday. It's like a Sunday Thursday. So
Yeah.
I don't think the Chiefs have a regular Thursday night Amazon game
Mm.
this year. They play the when I think they play when they play maybe they play the Wednesday I think it's gonna be on Netflix. Maybe one of the other games is gonna be on Amazon. I'm not sure. Um, but
Yeah, because
do
the
you think
first game is the kickoff game is actually a Monday night broadcast, isn't it? Something like that.
I think it's Sunday night football. I think
Or
it's a Sunday night
Sunday
football
night, yeah.
team. Even though it's a Thursday opener, but I think it's this. I think because it was Chris. Remember last year it was Chris Collinsworth who criticized Juwan Taylor for doing what every other right tackle or left tackle in the league does, is get off a little bit early, and they hadn't been caring about it until they decided to pick on Taylor for it, and then he was followed the rest of the season uh, with that stigma. So maybe Collinsworth will pick on another Chiefs player, and that'll be the
Or something that everyone else does too.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so do you think playing on all those different days of the week will be a disadvantage for the Chiefs, or is it something that's maybe overblown?
It's probably a bit overblown, but I mean, I think that going from that Saturday Wednesday game is going to be pretty tough. And maybe the more difficult thing probably from their scheduling is that their bye week is so early in the season. Is it week 7, maybe week
It's
6?
week 6.
Which is,
Week
I
seven,
mean, yeah. So
they
that
play week 7 after the bye. They go to San Francisco. So that's actually it seems like they've got some advantages in the buys. Like they have the like last year they were on short rest compared to everybody else on long rest. But this year it's going to be like when they play the Saturday game and before Christmas, they're going to be playing another team that played on Sunday too. So they're going to be on equal rest. And then when they play the Wednesday game, they'll play the Steelers, who also had to play on that Saturday before. So
yeah,
it'll be equal rest at least for both of those
yeah.
games.
I
Um,
just don't like the games in that close of succession. I think that's like seems like an injury situation waiting to happen, which especially that late in the year as a fan and as a franchise, I assume you don't really want risk of injury at that time in the year, like you're going to want risk at that time of the year, especially late.
I guess you could say it does though give almost an extra bye after that game because
Sure.
You have Wednesday, Christmas, and then you're not going to play until not the Sunday after the following Sunday. So you have a almost another mini bye at the end. So like maybe it condenses the schedule, but it's also kind of giving the Chiefs almost two buys if you think of it that way. Um, and in some ways, the Chiefs have they have an advantage between week 1 and week 2. They have sort of a bye because they or extra rest for when the Bengals come to town. Um, so I think this, in some ways, the rest advantage is looking better for the Chiefs this year than it was. So I think wasn't it like to close the season? It was like 6 consecutive weeks where the Chiefs had less rest than the opponents did, and that was maybe what
Yeah.
caused some of the problems that the Chiefs had going down the stretch was just being a little more tired probably than the other teams that they're playing. At least if they're tired, they're equally tired. Um, Maybe this year. At least that's my theory.
Yeah,
But
that works.
um, I don't have much any other real Chiefs news to talk about. At least that we want to talk about. We have new wrinkles in the Rasheed Rice story. And of course, the Harrison Butker story has gotten a lot of legs. But I think anybody who knew followed the Chiefs knew that Butker had that kind of those very conservative political views already. So it wasn't. It seemed like it came out as news to the rest of the country somehow.
Yeah.
But as it was a very small graduation speech for a very small audience. But I guess in today's social media driven world, anything you say, um, if it's can be uh, broadcast to a very very large audience very quickly. So, um,
Yeah. I don't think he's terribly bright personally, but there, so that doesn't help. But
he's like he's a very right wing conservative Catholic Mel Gibson style Catholic. Uh,
yeah,
and he's of course but yeah, I was a little surprised how like viral those like in some ways that just it also just brings more attention to whatever was said, and it's the backlash to the backlash that actually is bigger.
yeah,
So it's like it doesn't help anybody, I think, by being outraged by it, because I think it only because like now like Butker jerseys have like soared in numbers because of people who want to stick it to liberals and things like that. So it's one of those things where just kind of I think in and of itself it's not a big deal. Just what one football player says about something. Why is that uh national newsworthy? But um,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't think either of us at the Warner Power Hour agree with those sentiments. But
Not even a little bit.
but it's like yeah, it's like what do you expect? He's a right wing Catholic at a Catholic
Yeah.
university. What's he's gonna talk about stuff like that probably, and he's it's not really. I didn't.
Well, most of the people there, some of at least the audience was sort of geared towards the audience, but I don't think it still was like the correct setting to have some of that
No,
discussion, if any of it at all. But yeah,
and the nuns that ran the university weren't terribly pleased with it either. It seems like so.
it's a
Maybe
little surprising that like the university wouldn't have like an advanced copy of what they were going to say. I would
maybe they did, but
assume,
probably
but
they wouldn't
I
have
don't know.
expected it to be such a big thing because who cares about Benedictine college and actually
Yeah,
it's tiny. It's lovely, lovely. I've driven up there. It's a pretty little campus and school because it's up on the cliffs and stuff above the Missouri River. But it's yeah, it's yeah, it's kind of strange how big a story that became. Also,
yeah.
the other big story was that Rasheed Rice's charges have been dropped in the supposed altercation with I think it was a photographer and a club. Or whatever. So he has one fewer thing to worry about now in terms of off-season
Maybe
issues.
a game of his suspension upcoming will be knocked off because of that,
Yeah,
perhaps. Yeah. I don't know.
and I guess the Chiefs are going through mini camp now. They're doing fairly well. I think all the players have signed. I don't think Worthy has signed his contract yet, but I think all the other draft picks have signed. Um,
He's been in town because his car was already
his
stolen.
car was stolen. Yeah,
It's
yeah. Where I don't know what kind of car. What kind of car was it? They say.
I looked at a couple different articles and none of them said like where he was or where the car was or what kind of car he was driving. But I was kind of curious to see what it was. If it was like stolen from the training camp, training facility or something, that would have been insane. But uh
It says it was taken from a parking garage.
from a garage even. So that wasn't at the training facility, then it
It
must have
was
been somewhere
taken
else.
from his parking garages at his apartment complex wherever he lives. I guess they aren't saying where he lives. Maybe in the
Yeah.
same. Didn't you live? You lived in a building downtown with Was that when Travis Kelsey lived in your
I don't know
building?
if he didn't live there at the same time as me. I don't know if he was there or not, right? If that was that building he lived in before. But I
Somebody,
know there were
some
a couple
Chiefs.
different baseball players that lived in two of the different buildings that I lived in.
Oh yeah,
And but I know that area, it's like Ninth and Main. It's where I was more recently. But there are like break-ins and stuff into the garages there that get and then cars get vandalized and stolen occasionally. So it wouldn't terribly be surprising if it was a place like that. I don't know what's going on with security and the downtown garages. Like none of the companies that run the garages want to claim any responsibility for anything, but they're
sometime.
also not securing anything at the same time.
Well, one time it was well, my car when I was living in New Haven. I had a parking garage under my building, urban New Haven, and the reason it got broken into was because somebody who probably lived in the building broke the gate because their SUV or whatever they didn't wait for the gate to go all the way up or down, so they messed it up. and then that allowed anybody who wanted to come in to, vandalize or whatever. So they vandalized. They stole a bunch of. This was back when I had a bunch of CDs, and they stole out my. They
Oh,
broke my window and they stole all the CDs and stuff in my car. But so maybe it could. It sometimes it's one of the other residents' faults that they messed up, or somebody who was parking in the garage, they break the bar, or
yeah.
the
Well, a lot of times
doors
if
go
it has
down.
a bar, I mean, you can walk underneath it or around
Yeah,
those. So like
yeah,
if it's only that, then a person can get into the garages with it. Getting out might be more difficult,
yeah,
but if it's a stolen, if you're stealing a car, I probably don't really care if you run through a barricade to get out.
yeah. And wonder what kind of car it was too. Was it like was it a new car that he had bought with his potential money that he's making, or is it like just like his old Corolla or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Um, but yeah, so that's I guess that's probably the extent of our Chiefs news. Um, should we move on to our less than maybe we would say less than successful picks in the NBA and NHL uh,
Sure.
uh, postseason? You want to talk? You want which do you want to talk about first?
NBA was probably worse, so maybe let's get that out of the way.
Yeah, yeah. The
Maybe,
Nuggets
I
the
guess. Yeah.
Nuggets lost. Yeah, we'd each picked the Nuggets to win the West, and the Nuggets lost in 7 games. It seemed like they were going to lose that series early when they went down 2-0. Then they were up 3-2, and then they went down 4-3, losing Game 7 at home and losing Game 6 by 45 points to the Timberwolves. Um, so we were both wrong about that one. So it's a Mavericks Timberwolves Western Conference Final. You have a team that you like the Mavs, you have the Jokic
I'm not sure with this one. I
or
like
Doncic.
I could see it going either way, really. Like it could be, Minnesota could be spent after having to go to 7 games with Denver and like a really up and down like Game 7 in that series too. But Dallas needed 7 games also to get through their series, so it should be relatively even. I think Dallas probably has the bigger stars, Kyrie Irving
Doncic, yeah.
and Luka Doncic, right? So I don't really know which way. I think what Dallas won Game 1, um, but it was close. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's going to go along probably deep into this series, though. Too, I would guess it's probably going to go at least 6. But yeah, who's going to win? I don't really have a good feeling for it. But since Dallas is up 1-0, maybe I'll say Dallas will win. I don't know.
Right as we're going right now, Minnesota is up 14 points in the third quarter in Game 2, 68-54.
It's at Minnesota, isn't it?
Yeah, it's at Minnesota. So you think Minnesota's probably gonna get a split, you would hope, for their sakes. Um, I guess it looks like
Salvaging the split. So in
yeah.
theory, Dallas would just have to hold their home games and to win the series.
Mhm.
Then.
Yes. Boston though is the team I picked. You picked the New York Knicks. They lost in Game 7 in their series um, to the Pacers. Were you surprised that the Knicks bowed out, or was this more of the Pacers winning it, or was it more of the Knicks being the Knicks?
I don't know. I kind of only picked the Knicks just to be different from what I would normally do. And I also didn't think Indiana would go that far. But yeah, I've always, tend to like to follow the former Iowa State players, and Indiana has one. I probably should have picked them to start with just because of Tyrese Halliburton, but I did not have the guts
Huh?
to do so.
Also, a
But
longtime team with Paul George.
yeah,
Iowa State. But I don't. Where does George play now? Is he still in the league?
is he not? He's with the Clippers, isn't he still? Yeah,
Is he? Yeah.
but they've already bowed out of the playoffs, so that's yeah, no Paul George.
Oh, he went. Oh, no, he was to Fresno State. Why do I think of Paul George is going to Iowa State?
I don't know. I'm not
Why
sure.
did I think he went? Why did I think he went to Iowa? I don't know why I associated him with Iowa
Hmm.
State. There must be some player with a similar name. that
Hmm. I don't know.
yeah, Paul
There was
George
a
was their first
Paul,
list.
there was a center, a white guy center, Paul something. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was the guy that wrote for the Royals Review briefly. Uh,
Oh, he wrote for ESPN too, didn't he?
yeah, I can't think of his name is though. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so were you surprised with Pacers being in the conference finals? I don't think you're very surprised about Boston being in the conference finals.
No, I picked Boston to win. They were the overwhelming favorite. I think it was minus 250 or something like that. So it was. Um, I almost picked against them just to pick somebody else, but I decided let's just be smart and pick the favorite here. I was surprised. I'm surprised the Pacers have done so well. Um, I guess
If you were to pick it over again right now, would you stick with your Boston pick to win the conference championship, or would you flip it to the Pacers?
I I'm staying with Boston um, because I don't see why not. They've won all their series fairly handily. They're up. I think they're up 2-0 right now in their series. So it's game
And
three's coming up.
Halliburton left in game two with an injury, so that he's
Oh yeah, so
been
that's it's
sort of their you know, their sort of not kingpin necessarily, the big scorer, but he's like the distribution system more or less for the
yeah,
team.
he's one
So
of their best players for sure, and
yeah,
to say the least. So it's yeah,
yeah.
I think Boston's going to have an advantage. I guess the question is again, if they win in 4 or 5, probably they'll probably win. I'd say win less than 6 at this point.
Yeah,
Will they? The
possibly,
question,
possibly in a sweep even.
yeah,
So
the question
that's
will be though, and it looks like I would guess the Mavericks and Timberwolves will go to 6 or 7, like we had just said. So, is this going to be it's going to be the rest versus rust situation? Is it?
yeah.
Will the Celtics, if they win easily, will they have the advantage because they've had some days off, or will they not? I guess you could say, well, the Celtics have already had this rest advantage in other series. They're having a rest advantage in this series, and they're winning the first 2 games. So maybe you can just maybe not overthink it and say it'll be the Celtics series to lose if they win this series like the series against the Pacers looks like they're going to. It's their finals to lose. Is that what you would argue?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think Boston's going to be incredibly tough as long as they stay healthy. And for anybody
Yeah,
to come close to them, seems
yeah,
like.
and even if they get banged up, they have at least a couple days to recover.
Right.
So the NHL is a little more unpredictable. Well, not that we predicted the NFL. I mean, I don't predict the NBA very well, but the
Yeah.
NHL we've done even worse with. Although my Edmonton
Well,
Oilers.
we each have one pick left. Or
Oh, we did better with you. We did better with the
yeah,
NHL. Yeah, we each have
between
one.
us, we only have one pick in the NBA. Between
Yeah,
us,
that's
we
right.
have two of the four
I
remaining
was
teams
I was
alive.
thinking we'd be smarter with the NBA since we at least know
Ah,
basketball a little bit.
apparently we're better at the NHL. I don't know.
And the NHL seems it's more random than the NBA does, the
Yeah.
games. But so far, my Edmonton Oilers are, I think, one game up in the Western Conference Finals against the Dallas Stars. They won at home or won at Dallas in Game 1. So that's good. And your Florida Panthers are one game up on the New York Rangers in their series. So do you think it's going to be an Edmonton, Florida, a North versus South uh, final?
Warning track power hour versus warning track power hour game. That's what we're hoping for, right? Is
Yeah, the
with how
hockey the
smart we are, we can pick the two
hockey city
finalists.
versus non-hockey city.
Right.
I guess if the opposite teams win, it would be another hockey city versus a non-hockey city, New York and Dallas. But I hope it's for I latched after the Rangers dispatched the Capitals very easily. I latched onto the Rangers as probably the favorite in the East, but it seems like the Panthers uh, haven't faltered at all. So maybe they're doing uh, doing well. down there in South Florida.
Well,
Any
and the warm weather teams have done really well in the last several years, even right with Vegas and Florida, Tampa, all having had
Tampa? Yeah,
won titles in the last 5 6 years. So none of those are. It doesn't seem to be a limiting factor anymore. At one
no,
time, it seemed like it was because I think when the Kings won, that was sort of like broke a streak of like cold weather teams tending to win. But there weren't that many warm weather cities that were NHL cities at the time. So
yeah, it's been mostly warm or at least mild weather teams that have won most of the
the
game,
recent years.
most of the recent ones.
Yeah,
Let me. So it's been. Let me just go. Let's just go back through the list. So Vegas, I guess Colorado won in 2022, so that's Denver's gonna be
that's
cold.
right. Yeah.
But it was Vegas. Then Avalanche was 2022. Lightning won 2 years in a row.
Hmm.
St. Louis, which is coldish. Washington, a little maybe you could say coldish.
Maybe a bit colder
Pittsburgh,
weather.
Chicago. The Blackhawks when they were winning, they alternated with the Kings a couple of times, and then the Bruins. And so it's maybe yeah. The last few years it's been warmer weather.
So 3 of the last 4 years, I guess, were warmer weather
Yes,
cities.
yes.
Yeah.
Three last.
I
And
mean,
there's
if
been some.
Vegas can win an ice hockey competition, then, you know, technology is at play, right?
Yes.
How can you
Um,
keep ice in Las Vegas?
it's been the most uh warm weather uh heavy stretch since 2004 through 2007 when Tampa Bay, Carolina, and then Anaheim won three in a row. And there was a lockout in the middle of that. So
Oh, wow.
uh,
Yeah.
that's the and before that, a warm weather team hadn't won since ever, I don't think.
Yeah. Didn't
Yeah,
the Kings
before
didn't the Kings win one?
no, they never won with Gretzky. They didn't.
Oh,
They won a couple in um the 2000s, but they didn't win
I thought the
early.
Kings won one. Yeah. Oh, in
Yeah,
the
I was
2000s? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's what. Yeah. That's what I
so
was thinking was they won somewhere around there.
yeah, they won the Kings won in 2012 and 2014.
Okay.
So it's fairly late. But
Yeah.
yeah, the warmest weather team to win since the mid 70s was probably Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if you think Pittsburgh is colder. I think Pittsburgh being a little bit colder
Yeah.
than Philadelphia, but
So
not much.
so you're calling Philly a warm weather.
Dallas won in 1999. So
Ah,
Dallas is probably the first warmish weather team. They
and
won in
like
99.
newest city to have a franchise probably too at
Yeah.
the
Well,
of the
they
warm
had
weather
it
places, right?
was the old Minnesota North Stars went to
Right.
Dallas. So that was the
Hence the star name. Yes.
yeah the Avalanche one, but that was the Quebec moving to Denver, which is cold to cold.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm trying to see if there were any random warm weather teams because the original six were all cold weather cities. So yeah, I think Dallas when Dallas won that started the warm weather trend. 1999. So there have been 25 champions, including Dallas. So one, two, three, four, five, six. If you want to include Washington, St. Louis as warm weather,
Nah,
so
borderline. I just leave them
nine.
out.
There
Yeah.
have been nine warm weather teams in the last 25
And
years
and at least one lockout in there too.
in one lockout. Yeah.
So
Um,
that's roughly you're getting close to half. You're
yeah. I include.
approaching half. Yeah.
Yeah, getting closer. Yeah. Maybe
But I mean,
two
but less than
kids.
half of the teams are below that line, right? So
Yeah. Well, now
yeah,
they're well now you have more. You have Nashville. Um, you have Vegas now. Uh, there's. I guess you could say San Jose is probably not really a cold. It's Northern California, but it's not cold
Yeah,
there. I don't know if you might include
coastal.
Seattle even, or it's
Colder, but it's not like it doesn't associate with snow and ice though, right? It's
yeah, but
a
it's
southern
far
coastal city.
north at least. It's far
Yeah,
north, but
yeah.
it's got that coastal
Bay
climate.
Bay effect and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so um yeah, well, maybe we should move on to our probably our main topic, which may or may not take as long as these other topics because it's hard to maybe it's something that we can't really analyze is that the Royals are playing extremely well. They are 33 and 19. When they were 31 and 19, that was the best record through 50 games I think the Royals may have ever had. I read some article um, about that, and then they've had some good teams over the years, especially the '70s teams and the playoff teams of the '80s and the back-to-back AL champions of about 9 years ago. So and remember those miracle 2003 Royals that seemed like they had such a hot start. I guess they didn't have as hot a start as I recall because they
Yeah.
seemed like they were way over for a while.
I think a lot of that was just what the expectation was that they were, you know, everyone thought they were going to be terrible, and then they were like better than it, than
Is
500.
this is
That's a
this team
huge
more
difference.
yeah, is this 2024 team more surprising than that 2003 team?
Probably in some ways.
And that maybe they're actually good. Is that maybe that's the most? Because I don't think anybody thought the Royals were actually really
Yeah,
winning. They were winning a lot of close games. They were winning a lot of
right.
um, kind of eked out kind of walk off games. They were very dramatic, but it wasn't like they're winning now with dominant pitching and hitting that's been pretty good. Other than the outfielders, they've had
Yeah,
the run differential is one of the best in the league. The record's one of the best in the league. They have the same record as the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have had a solid season already. So like it's just behind the Yankees and the Guardians in the AL. So
and that's kind of the only sort of thing you can be a little bit annoyed about with this current Royals win streak of this 7 game straight is that the Guardians have also won six in a row.
yeah, so they haven't gained any ground. They're still game as we talk right now. They're still a game and a half, I believe, or maybe
They're
one game,
they're an even one game
even
because
one game
they've
behind.
already played tonight, and Cleveland has yet to play tonight.
They're playing down the street in here in Anaheim tonight.
That's
I'm
right.
not going to that game unfortunately, but um, we will see how that goes. Hopefully, Anaheim or not Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels, no longer the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. It's the Los Angeles Angels. Um, and
Although they continue to play in
yeah, they play in Anaheim.
That's what they should be called now. I think it's the Los Angeles Angels who continue to play in Anaheim.
Yeah, well, the mighty. I guess the only Anaheim team now is the Mighty Ducks that play Anaheim,
Yeah,
but another one of those warm weather teams that won a Stanley Cup. I think we mentioned them briefly, but um, yeah, the Royals have been great. Bobby Witt has been on a tear lately. Again, he dipped down below 300 for a little while. Now he's back up above 300, hitting home runs, driving in runs. Salvador Perez
runs
is
hitting home
continuing to
runs and hitting
toss.
long home runs. Even he had a top deck fountain shot earlier in the week in the homestand. So yeah, hitting home runs that aren't just barely clearing the ball; they're rocket shots. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah. So, do you think that this is sustainable for the Royals, or do you think this is something that's he hit a 468-foot home run was the distance.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they continue to score 7 to 8 runs a game like they have been during this stretch, they're going to win a lot of games. It's really what it comes down to. It's if they can manage to score like that. And, it's been nice to see them playing this well especially like early, they've been scoring runs early in the game and then continuing to add runs as the game goes on. There have been like, Royals history has been filled with games where they can only score in one inning, basically. And then they may score 4 or 5 runs, but it will only be in one inning and they're not going to score any more later.
Yeah.
So it's been nice to see this sort of like adding to a lead or, continuing to come back, sustained effort sort of thing. But I think a lot of that has to do with some of the players like not being so terrible this year. Where like there'd sometimes be like a whole inning of hitters that can't hit at all, and it really throws off any kind of pacing you have from inning to inning,
Well,
just in the
you
lineup.
almost maybe have that with the Royals this year because of the outfield has been so bad. So maybe 7, 8, 9 haven't been so great, but 1 through 6 has been pretty solid.
They've tended to put at least one of the guys up a little bit higher, like maybe just at least to have one like skip switch, so it's like 6, 8, 9, or But even
Yeah.
even like if Isbell's playing, he usually gets a hit. It just doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the thing. I'd rather see him play than most of the other outfielders. They tend to run out
Well, his
there.
defense has been so good. It makes up for maybe his light bat
Yeah.
so far. Um,
But
Melendez seems like has
he also runs the bases well though too, is what I would rather see him out there, because if he does get on, he's not going to get thrown out doing something stupid or trying for an extra base that he can't get. Or like Frazier got thrown out at third like 3 times in a row or something in one week, which is something you don't want
yeah,
to see happen.
yeah. Isbell, despite his one s- his what's his batting average right now? It's
Like around 210, I think,
two
somewhere in there.
ten ish. He's been worth .4, so he's been
Yeah.
a
And they don't really
uh,
have him facing left-handed pitchers at all. So I'm not sure if that's a thing that they should be doing, but it's they've been doing with him anyway. So I think they
yeah,
started Hampson today, and he actually got a couple of hits, which has not been his tendency. So good. Good for him.
yeah. It's one of those things where you want maybe Nick Lofton to be brought back up. He had a short stretch this year,
Mhm.
and he hit pretty well while he was up. They sent him back down just because I guess the other guys were getting healthy again. But
Yeah.
maybe he is the answer to kind of, or is there a free agent? Maybe the Royals are looking for free agents to um, there'll be buyers at the trade deadline. Maybe try to bring in an outfield bat that will help continue their success. And it seems like they already got rid of Matt. They already decided to dump Matt Sauer, who was a Rule 5 draft pick who wasn't playing particularly well. They've gotten rid of a couple other bullpen arms, and it seems like the bullpen has been solidified. Um, I think
Maybe getting stronger, because I think a few players who've been injured are now back at the club. Like Carlos Hernandez came back and played in today's game, pitched an inning successfully.
mhm.
So yeah, some of the I think they let Tyler Duffy go too. Was the other
Yeah,
released player, DFA'd player. So yeah, and Sam Long was one of their like off-season acquisitions that pitched really well in spring training, and it was almost surprising that he didn't make the roster. But he's
he got
now
into
now
the
out
eighth
there,
inning today, and he had a good inning. So
pitched well
uh,
also. So I think he's made a couple of appearances, and I think without any problems. So that's a good sign that maybe the bullpen, which has been pretty strong, is maybe even getting stronger with some of the new additions to it. One of the things that's really helped them this year compared to last year, though, is that the starting pitchers have pitched so many more innings than they did last year, that the bullpen innings have been limited and they don't have to be so taxed, that the
yes,
team can play, seemingly much freer, and without, having to have maybe 3 or 4 different arms that aren't available in any given game just because they've been pitching so many times. So that certainly helped the team this season.
have you changed your opinion any on opinionating on Matt Quatrero as the manager? Has he been doing better, or is he staying at least staying out of the way of the success?
Well, when they're playing like this, the manager is fully irrelevant. Like there's no decision that's made that can have an effect on the game. So, if they're like today's game, they were up 8-1, they don't, there's no, it doesn't matter who you go to in the bullpen. They should be able to hold a 7-run lead for a couple of innings. That should be fine. So, as long as the starting pitchers are going that deep and the offense can put it together, and even like a lineup like today's lineup, which doesn't look good on paper, managed to score 8 runs. So, you know, whatever in-game decision is made, it really can't affect the outcome unless it's, basically to decide to go to, you know, bring a second baseman in to pitch for 2 innings for no reason, something like that. It's about the only thing that could be maybe a problem. So I don't think they're going
Yeah,
to be doing that. I think there are actually rules against that now about how they're, using
position
position
players.
players as pitchers. Like they're trying to, the
Was it
league was trying to
part of the
limit
new
that.
collective bargaining agreement, maybe, or
Yeah,
something? Yeah.
I think you can do it, but it has to be like the ninth inning, and there are conditions, and so there have been a lot fewer innings pitched by position players. So
Yeah. I
makes it
seem to
easier.
remember something about that. Yeah, that's a good point. Um, yeah, so the Royals have been
But they haven't
uh,
they haven't needed to do that.
no, they're it seems like when the Royals are involved in blowouts, they're the team blowing the other team out. They're the team on the winning side of the blowouts. And it's kind of
Yeah,
you can that's why their run differential has been so solid. Um, more than any other time, it seems like when the Royals were winning a lot of games in the last, even maybe in some of those good seasons from 2014 and 15, they won. It seemed like they won more close games than they won blowouts because it was so maybe relief pitching reliant, and they won a lot of one-run games, but they lost maybe a lot of 6-2 games uh, to
yeah.
even it out, kind of even it out some.
Anemic offenses is, another historical finals norm. So
Yes,
that's not surprising to see a lot of 6-2 losses.
but yeah, this year with Bobby Witt and Salvador Perez have been hitting historically great. They've and then we've had Michael Massey's been playing well, Pasquantino at times. Uh, uh,
Pasquantino came in the other day as a pinch hitter, even in a game started by a left-handed pitcher. He came into a situation with the bases loaded, and he pulled a triple down the line, and it's like first big league triple, which you wouldn't expect, came in a pinch hitting role. Like
Vinny, hey, Pasquantino. And
three RBI
Ryan
pinch hit
Lefebvre doesn't
triple.
doesn't do that with Vinny Pasquantino like he did with
Yeah,
Vinny Pastana.
yeah.
Do you think that's because he was told not to by the Royals brass or an Italian American defamation league, or was it simply because he's on the Royals, he's not going to make fun of his name uh, in the way that he would if he was on another team?
I'm gonna go with your second option there. I think the Italian Defamation League stepped in and said, gave him a thorough talking to. That's the more humorous scenario, I think, for us to assume happened. So
I think they had mob ties. Is that you're guessing?
they do have the Sasquatch that walks around on the top of the Hall of Fame, though, when Vinny does something well. It's the Pasquatch
Oh,
as a nickname. Yeah, so they do have that guy that then walks around in the
see the same
Sasquatch
guy.
costume.
So they have Slugger and Sasquatch and the Casey guy who holds up the W at the end of the game. They have three costume characters now at the K.
I haven't seen them all at the same time, so I don't know. I don't know. It could be one guy, three costumes.
I think they had
Is it?
Slugger and Casey was two different. So
Yeah,
maybe
probably
Sasquatch, Pasquatch.
Sasquatch. Yeah.
Maybe it's a real Sasquatch because he's the Royals are who knows.
They actually don't know that it's not real Sasquatch.
Can't prove otherwise.
I've not seen a DNA test from him, so I don't know.
Well, this episode has gone off the rails since we're talking about we don't know whether the Royals Sasquatch costume character is real or not. Do we have anything else to add before we sign off?
I think that's a good spot.
From sunny Anaheim, and from sunny. It's actually been warmer in Kansas City probably than it's been in Anaheim. It's been only about 68 to 72 degrees as the high here, so it's been almost room temperature all the time. So it's been a
Inside and
cool,
out.
yeah, it's been a cool like, few days in Anaheim. When I was in Disneyland, I got a chance to go a few days ago. It was
Nice.
cool evening when I was there. So, um, but it was a fun time was had by me, uh, by all,
All of me is
all of me.
others. Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So I've had a good time here in Anaheim. But next week we'll be back in Maryland, most likely to have another One Trick Power Hour, probably at our usual time next week. It might be a little bit,
Slightly delayed this week, but should be back on track next
yes. And then I'm going away to Ireland in a couple of weeks, so we might have to switch things around in a couple of weeks. So
week. We'll figure out how to do it.
we'll figure it out. So thanks for bearing with us, viewers and listeners. We may be a little bit irregular, but that's something that I'm sure we've all experienced before, depending on our diets. Uh, uh, Occasional irregularity, just like the commercials. We won't delve any further into that. We'll instead uh, sign off here at the Winter Power Hour. As always, I am Dr. Michael Lerman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the Winter Power Hour. I almost forgot our lines there. Please like and subscribe to our podcast, which is available in most podcast delivery systems, and or our YouTube channel, which is available on YouTube. So please like or subscribe and continue to follow those. And we'll see you again next time here at the One Track Power Hour. So until then, good day.